Hello, and welcome to the third episode of the devlog for my game, Tower of Light. I'm Mr. Gallion, and today I want to show you my progress over the past few weeks. Like I said last episode, I started working in the visual aspect of the game. For starters, I worked by improving the battle menu. I thought the menu looked pretty nice, but it would look much cooler if it moved. But how would it move? For this, I've looked at various user interfaces from various games. The best ones I found that could serve as a base for my interface were Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Sushi Striker. They both have sleek interfaces I quite enjoyed. I ended up putting a whole slew of effects. I used the entire week of my free time working on this. A whole week. I mean, it doesn't sound a lot, but it was a week spent just looking at this. Anyways, here's what I ended up with. First things first, there is a fade-in effect when appearing. Instead of just popping out in existence, it slowly appears in its place. After that, it will sit still until the mouse hovers over, at which point it will start moving in various ways. The light shadow moves, the icon changes color and pops out of the bottom, a rotating colored star appears, and finally the striped lines that exist now in the background start moving. My logic here was that absolutely nothing should stay still when the mouse hovers over it. Well, except for the outline. I think I should do something about it later. After that, I wanted to substitute the little shield things. They were acceptable placeholders, but characters they are not. Based on the style of my own avatar sprite, I worked on a dummy character. It was supposed to look like a robot, but since it's just a temporary placeholder, I think it works. Yes, I know I'm replacing a placeholder with yet another placeholder, but whatever, it's a higher level placeholder. It's clearly better. To do it, I made it in various parts so the game could piece them together. Unity has a pretty solid skeletal system that also happens to be, well, really difficult to work with. I mean, now I can use it easily, but there wasn't nearly enough documentation or tutorials on it. Most of the tutorials used Photoshop, which I don't have nor use. I found one that didn't, and even that one wasn't doing exactly what I needed. For you see, I needed a couple of things to work. I needed the skeletal system, but also the inverse kinematic system and multiple versions of the same sprite on the same sprite sheet. And some of these functions didn't completely fit with each other. Seriously, I might even do a tutorial on the topic just because it bothers me that much. That said, I think I ended up with a pretty solid system. With this, I can move each piece of the sprite independently, as well as change expressions and the hands when needed, which is nice. The inverse kinematic system is also very useful. With it, I can set a target for the hand and foot positions, and the script automatically moves the bones in a way it gets the closest to the target. Neat. I just needed a slight change to my recoloring shader, because while the shield needed a complete recolor, the body didn't. So I added an option to the shader to make it so it would only recolor the outline and not the rest of the sprite if needed. Oh, also, talking about the shader, I wanted to do something else from the Fire Emblem GBA series. It used smear effects extensively, and I loved that look. I could do it like Fire Emblem Heroes and basically cheat by using another type of After Effect, but I don't think that's good enough. So I improved my recoloring shader. Normally, when working in 3D graphics, you'd have multiple shaders, each doing its own thing. But when working with sprites or textures like I am, you only have one shader to work with. So that's what I had to do. Luckily, I looked in the internet and someone else did it before me. For 3D objects, I had to port it for sprites, and that was annoyingly difficult. It's yet another thing that's poorly documented. Worse, they have multiple names for the same things. After many tries, as well as making notes of what means what, I managed to port it to my shader. I even ended up with two versions, one that applies noise over the animation and another that doesn't. The noise version is more costly because it has to generate said noise, but it probably won't make too much of a difference as long as I use it sparingly, probably. But I think it's the better one anyways. But which one do you think it's better? Let me know in the comments below. Finally, the last thing I did these last couple of weeks was drawing a basic tile set. I started by drawing grass tiles. I wanted to achieve a minimalistic style, like with Mother 3, but at the same time I thought just using a flat color would be a little boring. So I applied a noise effect over it. It was harder than it sounded like, since it had to be seamless to work as tiles in first place. Something you can notice is that I've recorded many grass patterns. The reason for that is that the game randomly generates a pattern every time it's loaded. That's right, I managed to get the first roguelike feature in the game, random grass. Talk about humble beginnings. Besides that, I also made ground tiles. I think I still have to improve this minimalism thing, but I think it's getting there, which leads me to the list of improvements. First things first, I need to improve the current tiles, so it fits better this style, but I also have to figure out how to connect different tile types. As you can see, when the grass and the ground touch each other, they transition immediately, which doesn't feel very natural. So I have to figure out how to connect different tile types. Another thing to do is that I probably need to add more effects for the menu. I'm not sure of which effects I can add, so I will have to look for more references. Finally, I want to draw at least one new character per update. That way I can add new characters steadily, which should be good in the long run. Anyways, that's it for this week. If you want to keep up with the project, please don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any suggestions or anything of you like, you can comment below. Both of these things really help me to keep my motivation and help me as a developer. Thank you and hopefully see you next time.